Libra, what is going on with you? Come on in, have a seat, make yourself comfortable. My name's Alan Hill from UnknownTruthTarot.com. Welcome back to another Libra love reading. Today we're going to take a look at the status of the love connection between you and your romantic person of interest. So let's get started. Let's get one card. Okay, thank you. Okay, what is going on with you, Libra? It's been a minute. I haven't been feeling well for the past few months, but I'm finally back to normal, I think. Probably lost a little bit of weight, but I guess that's to be expected. Let's see what we got going on with you here. What's going on with your person, Libra? What's going on with Libra's romantic person of interest as it relates to Libra? Okay, come here. We got an extra one here on the end, no big deal. We'll take an extra one. I'll read those together. The overall energy of this reading: Three of Cups. This is Cancer energy. Three of Cups is one of those cards that's got two meanings to it. The first meaning is this can represent being united and celebrating, or even being reunited and celebrating, like getting back together. The other meaning that can represent from this card is three cups of love are in the picture, so we could have a third party thing happening here, and based on what I'm seeing, that might be the case. That third energy here doesn't always have to be a romantic third party, but in this case it looks like it might be. Below the surface of that, I have the Ace of Pentacles. This is a new physical, tangible, real world opportunity presenting itself. Like any ace, it's an opportunity, which means you have to grab it and do something with it in order to get anything out of it. This is the seed of abundance. It has the potential to grow into the Ten of Pentacles, but it's not the Ten of Pentacles in and of itself. It takes work, time, effort, and energy to get from the 1 to the 10 here. This physical opportunity, when combined below the surface of what looks like a third person being involved, that probably represents a physical opportunity presenting itself to get to that third energy here. That's the gist of what it looks like this one is going to talk to me about. This mutual point of interest is shared energy that affects both of you in some way. It doesn't always affect you the same way. Sometimes they say or do something and it makes you feel or act this way, or vice versa. Sometimes there's some external thing happening that affects both of you this way, but this shared energy affecting you is the Hanged Man. This is Pisces energy. This is progress being halted. There is no forward movement. Things are stuck. They're stagnant. They're at a complete standstill. Now, the reason the Hanged Man hangs upside down is he's trying to look at things from a different perspective than normal, a different point of view than he would normally look at things from. He's trying to figure out what has me stuck. How do I get myself unstuck so that this can move forward the way I want it to? It's a really similar energy to the Hermit. The difference between the Hanged Man and the Hermit is where their focus is placed. In the Hermit, he's looking inside of himself. He's looking at himself for what adjustments do I need to make to me in order to move forward the way I want. And the Hanged Man is pretty much the opposite. He's looking at things. What out here has me stuck? What out here is the problem? And what out here do I make adjustments to in order to get myself unstuck? He's not looking at himself. So a lot of times this can represent someone playing the role of the helpless victim, playing the blame game, blaming things on the other person. Well, this is stuck because of what you did, Libra, not because of what I did. It's some element of things not moving and probably not quite having the focus in the wrong place, is what I'm trying to say. Tell me more about this Hanged Man, please. Why is that the shared energy between Libra and their person? Thank you. Making me dig for it here. No problem. What do we got going? Oh my. Okay. Below the surface of this Hanged Man energy, Eight of Cups. This is Pisces energy. This is about emotionally detaching or even physically detaching and walking away. The person in the card is walking away from 8 full cups of love, and they're doing that because they believe there's something better out there for them. Sometimes this can represent your person thinking that the grass might be greener on the other side of the fence. Things are stuck. They're not moving. Maybe it's better over here. Let me go find out. Sometimes this is advice for you, telling you to look at the reality of the situation you're in. And what you're getting here is 8 cups. It's not the 9th cup. It's not the 10th cup. And this is telling you that if you're honest with yourself, 8 cups is probably the best this person has ever given you, probably because that's all they're capable of. They might not even see it as their fault. It's not their problem. It's something else. It's either your fault, it's my mommy's fault for not treating me right. It's some external thing here. So this is telling you to take a good hard look at the reality of the situation, not what you hope for, not what you want to be true in the future, not looking at the potential of the person, but look at the reality. And it's telling you if that reality isn't giving you everything you want and need and deserve, then it's time to make that very difficult conscious decision to walk away from this, to go down a new path, to find your own 9th cup, your own 10th cup, your personal happiness, your wish fulfillment, a person who's going to pour their love into you with the same amount of effort and intensity that you pour it into them. Yeah, below the surface of that is the Two of Wands. This is Aries energy. Twos are always choices, and this is a fork in the road. It's a crossroads. It's a decision point in your life. It's a decision point in this connection, and it's a decision about what is it that I want my world to be like, and which of these two paths is going to get me to that. And you can't turn left and right at the same time. So it's not just about choosing what path do I want to go down. It's also about choosing what path am I going to have to leave behind me in order to move down that path that gets me what I actually want and deserve. So again, I've got 2 references here to like, this isn't moving. And it's time to make some sort of a choice about whether to stay emotionally attached or emotionally disconnect here. When I clarify the Hanged Man, I get 3 cards: 3 of Pentacles, the Sun, and the 7 of Swords. The 3 of Pentacles is Capricorn energy. This is supposed to be teamwork, collaboration, working together as equals to build something of value. This is typically working together as equals to lay the foundations for the 10 of Pentacles. And I kind of referenced that when I saw this Ace of Pentacles here. It's not the 10 of Pentacles in and of itself. It takes work. It takes time, effort, and energy to get there. And this is supposed to be where we're working together to lay the foundations to actually get to that 10 of Pentacles. But something's not moving correctly here. Next clarifier for that Hanged Man is the Sun. This is Leo Major Arcana energy. This is the happiest card in the deck. It can represent happiness, joy, bliss, harmony. Really hard to get a better card than that in a relationship reading when that's what it's talking about. Now, another thing that the Sun can reference is if you look at how our solar system is put together. The Sun's in the center. All the planets are stuck in its orbit. It's got all the gravity. So this can reference that I have a lot of happiness tied to this external person, which again is probably the wrong way to look at it. Your happiness comes from inside of you, not outside of you. And whenever someone attaches all their happiness to the external person can detach and walk away and take your happiness with them, which is probably what we're seeing with this choice that you've got here. I didn't go deep enough. There's 1 card right below that 4 of Cups. This is Cancer energy. This is about being emotionally not fully happy or content with what you have right in front of you. There's this, I'm not happy with these 3 cups, and the 3 cups is the overall energy here. There's this probably another person involved, and I can't get them out of my mind. I can't get this other person that they brought in out of my mind here. But it can also just represent I'm not fully happy with what I have, and there's this other thing that if I had that, I believe that would make me happy. But this person is kind of waiting on this other thing to show up, and they're not really getting up off of their butt and taking any kind of actions. They're not making any decisions. They're not doing anything. They're just kind of like waiting on the universe to deliver something. And that's not how reality works. I know that's what a lot of tarot readers will try to tell you, that the universe is working on fixing your person in the background. They're working on getting this thing unstuck. Your spirit guides are trying to work on everything for you. Like, that is completely not reality whatsoever. That's fantasy. That's fiction. That's not how the world works. The universe or spirit or source or God or whatever you choose to label the higher power, it's not a cosmic Amazon delivery driver. You can't just sit there and wait on something to be delivered to you. So this Sun card can represent that at some point you probably have all your happiness attached to this person. But beyond just happiness, another thing that the Sun can represent is illumination, having the light shined on something. In fact, in the tarot deck, in the major arcana, the card that comes right before the Sun is the Moon. And the Moon can represent something being hidden in the dark from you, something that you can't see, that you're not aware of yet, some secret being kept. Well, the next step is the Sun comes up. And now it's not dark anymore, and whatever was being hidden gets illuminated. Now I can see it for what it is. Which leads us to this final clarifier here, the Seven of Swords. This is Aquarius energy. This is lying, cheating, stealing, deception, sneaking around behind your back, trying to get away with something that I shouldn't be trying to get away with. It's very deceptive energy. So I have happiness tied to the idea of building something together. And then I also have illumination of some sneaky shit that's not supposed to be going on. And that seems to be explaining to me why this is stuck, why it's not moving forward. The other reason why it's stuck and why things are probably stagnant for you is it looks to me like the reality is you're not getting what you need from this person. And in order to get what you actually deserve, you're going to have to make a choice about what you really want. And it's not so much about, like, we all get confused sometimes where I've seen so many people, and I've done it myself. We'll decide that we want that particular person. And what we really want is love, happiness. We want someone to love us back as much as we love them. And we get mixed up and we place all of that on one particular person when that's not really how it should be. If this person isn't giving you what you need, you have a choice about what you want. And it looks like you're kind of hung up right now waiting on this thing to be delivered to you. That's the shared energy that is affecting you both here. Like I said, it doesn't always affect you both the same way. So I'm going to come back to this as I go through your energy. I will come back to it again as I go through your person's energy so I can see how it relates to each of you. Your energy in this connection, first card is always the most important. You've got the Queen of Swords, which is Libra energy. Central to your energy is the Ten of Wands. And your final card is the King of Pentacles. Queen of Swords, Libra energy. This is she who knows the truth. She represents discernment. She represents facing the truth, speaking the truth, and then cutting away anything in your life, a thing or a person that's no longer in your best interest anymore. So let's see what we have going on with this Queen of Swords, please. Tell me more about this Queen of Swords. Thank you. What we got here? Yeah. Below the surface of that Queen of Swords, Six of Cups. This is Scorpio energy of the past. Excuse me. It's thinking about the past, reminiscing about the past, thinking about the good old days, the way things used to be between the two of you. It can represent a deep emotional connection that has history to it. It can also represent something from the past coming back up again or happening again, or even a person from the past showing back up. It's some reference to the past, whether that's nostalgia or whether that is something that's on like something already happened at one point in the past and now it's happening again. It could be any of that stuff. So take it however it applies to your situation. I'm not going to tell you to take what resonates and leave the rest, because that's terrible advice. That's telling you to just cherry pick the parts you want to hear and throw everything you don't want to hear out the window. And that's not reality either. That's fantasy tarot. That's fiction tarot. That's using tarot as like a window, and it's not a window, it's a mirror. So there's some element of the past here, and you're being asked to like face that, like to have the willingness to look at the truth and make the decision to cut away whatever isn't actually beneficial for you here. King of Pentacles is right behind that. That's the final card out here in your energy. This is Taurus energy. This is usually husband type energy. Now, it doesn't always mean like legally married husband. It doesn't have to mean that this is your husband and this is a person that you're married to. This can represent, like the person that you're viewing as husband material, stable, committed boyfriend type of an energy. It could be that. This is usually like provider type of an energy. So there's some sort of a history here with this person. And then we've got the star right behind it. This is Aquarius Major Arcana energy. This is a card of hope. It's a card of healing. Sometimes this is a card of wish fulfillment. But this is also the card that comes immediately after the Tower in the sequence of the Major Arcana. So you don't make it to the star energy without going through a Tower of some kind first, where something important in your life comes crashing down. It's like the destruction of a false structure, a false belief. It's something that feels devastating at the time. And this is supposed to be the hope that gets you through afterwards. This is not the hope that the other person is going to come back, or the hope that the Tower is going to magically reassemble itself and everything is going to be fine. This is the hope for the future moving forward. Now, when I clarify this Queen of Swords, I get the Seven of Wands, the Devil, and the Four of Pentacles. Seven of Wands is Leo energy. This is a defensive energy. This is defending my position, defending my stance, defending what I believe in, fighting for something that's important to me, something that I desire, something that I want. It's defensive energy. Now, when I get, this could mean that you want to fight for this connection. You're seeing the truth of something. And a lot of times I'll get those two cards together when I see something that I don't want to see. And I'm now somehow trying to block that. I also get these two cards together a lot when this is about having a difficult conversation where I'm asking you tough questions and I want you to tell me the truth. And instead, what I'm getting is ducking and dodging and bobbing and weaving and deflection and defensive energy. Like, no, I didn't do that. No, I got the Three of Cups as the overall energy and some physical opportunity to have this other person. I've got detaching and walking away. I've got things aren't moving and someone playing the blame game and it's not me, it's not my fault, I didn't do that. And then I've got deception here, which is probably why I'm seeing something isn't right here. I've seen something that isn't adding up and I want answers. And it looks like either you're deflecting and dodging the actual truth of the matter, or your person is doing that to you. It's hard to tell which way that goes, especially when the Devil is the next clarifier. This is Capricorn Major Arcana. This is a heavy toxic energy. It's obsession. It's addiction. It's a feeling of being trapped by something, feeling like I can't escape from something, where I'm not the one in control. Something external to me has control over me, and it feels like there's nothing I can do about it. And if you look at the card, these are the same two people from the Lovers card, but here they have chains around their necks and they're chained to this podium that the Devil sits on. And they've been in this toxic, distorted energy for so long that it's starting to change them. They've grown horns and tails because it's starting to distort them. It's changing pieces of who they are. Now, sometimes this can represent your person's energy showing up over here, and the reason they're deflecting and defending their position here and saying, no, I didn't do that, is because they have some toxic piece of themselves that they don't want you to see, or that they don't even want to face themselves. And really, that's a key component of what the Devil means, because the Devil really only has the power over us that we willingly give to it by refusing to face it and deal with it. So this could represent a toxic piece of your person. It could also represent that if this is you wanting to defend this connection and block the truth because you don't want that to be true, this could represent some toxic element of you, some toxic, unhealthy attachment that you have. The key thing to notice here, and I don't know if you can see it in the card because the screens are so small, but these chains around the people's necks are really just loops. It's not like it's bolted on like handcuffs or something. It's just a loop. And if they wanted to, they could take that loop right off of their head and walk away anytime they want. They just don't realize that they can because their head's in the loop. Like, I don't see the necklace on my neck right now because my head's in the loop. And this is kind of pointing that out. That's part of the discernment you need to have right here, and the willingness to face the actual facts and the reality of the matter. It's like you're not really stuck with this person. You can leave. It's just a matter of, can you stop trying to defend the truth, trying to block seeing the truth? And it makes sense with this other card too. This Four of Pentacles is Capricorn energy. This is an energy of holding on tightly to something and not wanting to let go of it. It could be, like I said, some sort of an unhealthy attachment that you have here. This could be you not wanting to lose them, not wanting to lose this connection, not wanting to lose this idea that you have of working together as equals to build the foundations for the Ten of Pentacles, which is combining lives together, building a life together, not wanting to lose the happiness that you've attached to this, not wanting to lose the history of this connection. This is some element of wanting to hold on and not let go. Now, if this is representing part of your person's toxicity showing up over here, that would represent, when it's tied with the devil, it would represent greed and stinginess, and it's all mine and you can't have any of it. And this is all about me, myself, and I, and then me some more. So again, take that part however it applies to your particular situation. There's no set in stone rule that says it has to be A or B. It could actually be both of those things at the same time, and it's just different layers to the story. Central for your energy is the Ten of Wands, and this is Sagittarius energy. This is a heavy burden that's being carried. It's something that's weighing you down and it's holding you back. It's a 10 though, and in tarot, 10s represent completion. So this is supposed to be the completion of you carrying this heavy burden. In other words, this is the spot where you're supposed to make a choice to lay this burden down and move forward without it. So let's take a look at what's going on with this Ten of Wands. Why is that showing up as the central energy, please? Okay, what do we got here? Below the surface of that Ten of Wands heavy burden, we have the Wheel of Fortune. In terms of zodiac signs, this represents the 4 fixed signs: Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio. Now this card, this can represent like a repeating cycle of something happening again and again and again. And when I already saw the 6 of Cups, which I said then could represent something from the past that's already happened is coming back up again. This could be a repeat of that. This also, you'll hear a lot of readers say that this represents like divine timing or fate or destiny, and that's not really what it represents. If it has anything to do with fate and destiny, it also has something to do with free will. And those two concepts can't exist at the same time. If you have free will, that means you're in control of the choices and the actions that you have in your life. You get to dictate what happens moving forward based on how you think, what decisions you make, and what actions you take or don't take. Destiny and fate would imply that everything's already written and your choices don't have any impact on anything, because what's going to happen is going to happen and there's not jackbo shit you can do about it. And we all know that's not true. And a good mental way to test that is imagine standing on the top of a 10-story building right now. If fate and destiny were real and everything is already predetermined and your decisions don't affect anything because what's going to happen is going to happen regardless, that literally means you could jump off the top of that 10-story building and it would have no effect on you. And we both know that's not true. You would splatter all over the ground. So your choices definitely do matter. And this represents the repeating cycle of something. There's some burden here, and there's a repeat to that burden happening. And this is the spot where you get to actually exercise your free will and make a choice to lay that burden down, or you get to make the choice to repeat the cycle again. And when I have the Devil and the Wheel of Fortune this close together in a spread, that's called the karmic hamster wheel. And what that represents is I've been in this position where I was meant to learn a lesson from this painful thing that's happening. And instead of learning the lesson, I went for another lap. And if I don't learn the lesson this time, I'm going to go for another lap again and again and again. And I'm going to repeat that cycle until the lesson is learned and until I face this and deal with it. Yeah, below the surface of this Wheel of Fortune, this repeating cycle, I have Justice, which is the Libra Major Arcana card. This is the most powerful card of balance in the deck. It represents doing the right, fair, just thing. And the sword that's in this card represents like cutting away something that's not in balance so balance can be restored, and then the right, fair, just thing can happen. This card shows up to indicate something unfair or unjust is occurring, something out of balance is occurring, and this is the need to correct that, to cut that away, or we're going to repeat the cycle again. So there's probably some sort of a repeating cycle of unfair, unjust things occurring here, which, based on what I've seen so far, I would estimate that this Seven of Swords, this lying, deception, cheating, whatever that represents in your particular scenario, probably isn't the first time that's happened. And it probably would represent that this has probably been stuck for a while, and having my happiness attached to it is probably keeping you stuck. When I clarify the Ten of Wands, I get the Six of Wands, Strength, and there's the Three of Cups again. Six of Wands is Leo energy. This is a card of recognition. It's sometimes about being recognized for something, being in the spotlight, being patted on the back for a job well done. But more often than not, this is about you coming to some sort of a recognition about something. You're recognizing something, and whatever that is, it has forward movement attached to it. So it could be recognizing that this burden is weighing me down, and if I want to move forward successfully, I'm going to have to do something different than what I've been doing. If I keep repeating the same thought process, I'm going to make the same decisions. And if I keep making the same decisions, I'm going to take the same actions. And there's that saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. You're not going to get a different result here. Next clarifier is the Strength card. This is a Leo Major Arcana card. This card tells me that you're dealing with something very hard, something very difficult, and this is requiring you to dig down deep inside yourself and tap into all of your internal strength in order to make it through it. You have the strength to make it through it. You're just being forced to tap into it and put it to use here. Now, this card can also represent trying to tame this beast inside yourself. In other words, there's these urges, these desires, these impulses, this stuff that you want really bad. And the lady in the white gown represents your conscience, your ability to tell right from wrong. And she's trying to hold the lion back. She's trying to tame that piece of you that wants to go rushing off and do something that's probably going to be a mistake. And this is the struggle to try to contain that piece. It's sitting right beside the devil here. So there's either some unhealthy attachment that you have to this person, and a piece of you already knows that it's unhealthy, and that piece of you is struggling to try to either get out of this or not go back to it or not let it continue. But this could also represent part of your person's energy showing up over here, which means they have some unhealthy attachment. Something in their life is not lined up the right way. It's out of control. It has too much importance, and it's actually controlling them. And this could be them struggling to try to resist that. But this is looking to me like, because it's in your energy, you're burdened, you're recognizing that something's weighing you down and holding you back, and you're either dealing with the difficulty of that realization, or you're still somehow trying to hold yourself back from continuing to just repeat the same cycle with them. I think it's probably a little bit of both of those, because the next clarifier is this Three of Cups, which is, again, the overall energy of the reading, Cancer energy. This does not seem at all like we're talking about reconciliation and getting back together. What this is looking like is a third-party love triangle, because we got 3 cups of love in the picture here. And that could be the very thing that you're having a difficult time dealing with. That could be the thing that you're coming to some sort of a recognition about. I think the real challenge you're having is, even when faced with the truth of these types of things that I'm talking about, there's still this element here of still wanting to hold on to it. Probably because there's history here. Probably because you have what looks like maybe an unhealthy attachment and having all of your happiness tied to this person. Final card for you here is the King of Pentacles. Again, Taurus energy. We already saw this in the underlying energy on the bottom of the deck. This is husband energy. Doesn't have to be legitimate, legally married husband. Could just be the person that you were looking at in that light, thinking that that's where this is going to go. Could be that you live together. Could be that there's some element of them being the person in your life, the other half of the equation in the physical sense. So let's see what's going on with this King of Pentacles, please. Yeah. I see. Below the surface of that is the Star. We already saw this, Aquarius energy, hope, healing. It's also the card that comes after the Tower. So I know something has collapsed between the two of you, even though I don't have the Tower out here yet. You don't make it here to the Star without the collapse of something important. Again, I feel like I need to hammer the point that this is, the collapse has happened. You know, imagine your neighbor has a gas leak in their house and their house explodes and it's just a bunch of toothpicks all over the ground. That's not getting put back together. A whole new house has to be rebuilt at that stage. And likewise, when the Tower collapses on a relationship, it's not getting put back together. It's done. And this is not the hope that that's magically going to get fixed. This is the hope for the future moving forward. And with hope, it's one of those tricky things because there's two types of hope. There's actual real hope. And that hope says, like, I know life can be better than it is right now. I know that if I do the work, I can move forward. I can get a different relationship. I can improve how things are now in the future. But then there's also false hope. And false hope is like the chain around your neck that stops you from being able to move forward. It stops you from being able to detach from an unhealthy situation and actually move forward. That chain around your neck keeps you in the burden that's weighing you down and holding you back. So you have to be very careful with the hope that you have. You know, like if you're spending every dollar that's left in your bank account on lottery tickets and hoping that I win the lottery and then I'll be able to like do what I need to do in my life, hope is not a strategy in and of itself. And that's a pretty bad way to run things, you know, and hoping that a toxic person is going to somehow magically just be fixed. Not a good way to run things. Hoping that a toxic person who lies and cheats and steals and deceives, who blames everything on you or other people or other situations, and they don't ever face themselves and accept their role in it, that's not likely to just magically change one day. So there's all this hope, and behind that is the King of Wands, which is more Leo energy. This is a bold, passionate, fiery, determined person. This is probably someone that you view as charming, charismatic, good-looking, have a lot of desire for this person. But it's also a person who passion, desire is very, very important to them. So especially when the devil's out here, that can indicate sometimes a person who isn't really in control of that piece of themselves. Like the wand has too much importance in their life and it leads to things, if you know where I'm going with that. When I clarify this King of Pentacles, I get the Eight of Swords, the King of Cups, and the Lovers. The Eight of Swords is Gemini energy. This is thinking about something over and over and over again on this repeating loop in your mind, and not being sure what's the safe step to take. It's about feeling stuck and trapped and blocked and overthinking and grinding on something because the lady's blindfolded. She can't see the full scenario around her, and she doesn't want to step in the wrong spot and make some kind of a mistake. So she doesn't know what to do. So she's constantly stuck in the loop. She's trying to fill in the open loops, trying to close the open loops, trying to fill in all the blanks that she has in her information. Hence, she's thinking about something way too much. When I have the devil in the energy with that, that is obsessive overthinking on something. It's being stuck in the loop and grinding on it. And I can't quit thinking about them. And I can't quit thinking about the hope. And again, this is telling me that there's something here that you don't see. And the reason that you feel trapped is the hope is actually what's keeping you trapped. So that's not actual hope. That's false hope. And there are two different things. And I think that is sitting right, this Eight of Swords, this overthinking is sitting right beside the Six of Wands, recognizing something and moving forward. Next, when I clarify King of Pentacles, I get King of Cups. This is Scorpio energy. This is probably how you're viewing the person too. I've seen 3 different kings just in this one column so far, including in the underlying energy. So there might be multiple sides to your person and you're never sure which one you're going to see. This could represent that I have all of this love and emotions for this person. And the other thing about the King of Cups is he's got no expression on his face. The waters around his feet are rough and choppy. That means rough, choppy emotions. But this kind of a person is really hard to read because they don't publicly broadcast how they feel about things, good or bad. So this type of person could love you to death, but you don't really know because they don't express it. But likewise, this person could be going through emotional turmoil right now, and you wouldn't really know that because they don't express that either. So this is a kind of a person that you're never really sure how they feel, which again would lead you to obsessively grind on them. Could also just represent the amount of emotions that you have for them. And as much as it pains me to say it, a lot of times when I get the King of Cups in this type of a scenario, this is usually where I'm giving credit to the person beyond the credit that they've actually earned. You know, like what they've shown me here. And this Seven of Swords, the deception, the lying, this hanged man, this not looking at my role in the situation. I'm blaming it on other stuff. There's this toxicity. I'm using 2 decks and I've got the 3 of Cups in both decks. This third energy being involved. This could be a case of where I'm looking at this person for the potential that I see in them instead of looking at the reality of the behavior that they're showing me. Those are 2 different things. Like you could look at almost any human being on the planet, including, you know, he's not here anymore, but Adolf Hitler. You could see potential in Adolf Hitler. But that doesn't mean his behavior wasn't extraordinarily out of fucking control, right? And same here. If you're only focused on potential and not behavior, that's exactly what keeps your head in the loop. That's exactly what keeps your head in the loop with the devil here. That would be exactly why I'm trying to block the truth and defend against the truth, because I want to hold on. This 4 of Pentacles, I want to hold on to the potential that I see in them because I have all these emotions for them and I have so much of my happiness invested in them. Final card we have to clarify that King of Pentacles is the Lovers. This is the Gemini Major Arcana card. And again, I know you see probably hundreds of tarot readers try to tell you that this card means twin flames. And you know, divine counterparts, divine connection. That is not what this card means. That is not what this card has ever meant. There's this weird misconception among YouTube tarot readers that you don't need to know the traditional meanings of what the cards actually represent. All you need to do is make up whatever you want the card to mean. And that's not real tarot. That's fantasy fiction tarot. This card used to be called the Choice, and it represents a choice in what probably feels like a powerful connection to you. It could represent a choice about the connection itself. It could represent a choice between more than one lover. We've got the 3 cups of love here. We've got the 3 cups of love here. We have some physical opportunity in the background presenting itself. This card is telling you that yes, while this feels powerful, there is definitely a choice that needs to be made. Also, again, notice These are the same two people on the Lovers as on the Devil card. But again, these people are here because they feel like they don't have a choice in the matter, and it's distorting who they are. When you have these two cards together, this is not telling you that this is some divine connection. This is telling you that this connection has a lot of toxicity to it. Even with the Lovers, it's sitting directly beside 3 cups of love. And the connected to that is this 4 of Pentacles holding on to it anyway. Holding on to it. It's a toxic attachment here. I'm sorry if that feels like bad news, but my channel is called Unknown Truth Tarot for a reason, because it's not my job to sugarcoat dog turds and sell candy bars. It's not my job to try to figure out what you want to hear and spin the meanings of all the cards to force fit it to this fantasy. I'm not here to support fantasies. I'm here to support the truth and give you the truth that you need so you can make the decisions that are in your best interest, and then hopefully take the actions that are in your best interest. So I have to give it to you straight. I have to tell you what the cards actually mean and what this story is telling me. Otherwise, I'm not helping you. And if what you really want is someone to blow smoke up your ass and prop up your fantasy for you, then there are literally thousands of other readers on YouTube that do nothing but that every day of the week. So there's plenty of them to go watch if that's what you're looking for. If you want the truth, that's what we're here for today. Take a look at your person's energy. First card for them is the most important. They get the 2 of Pentacles. Central for their energy is death. And their final card came out as 2. We got the 7 of Swords and the 9 of Pentacles. The 2 of Pentacles is Capricorn energy. And again, 2 represents a choice here. And this is a choice between these 2 physical things that they can't have both of them at the same time. You can't turn left and right at the same time. You can't go up and down at the same time. I can't have you and this other cup of love at the same time. So this represents the choice between these 2 physical things and being off balance about that and trying to maintain balance, trying to get balance back, trying to decide, do I want this one or that one? Do I or don't I? Should I or shouldn't I? And it's that undecided, off balance, can't make up my damn mind kind of an energy here. And that's in their most important position. Tell me more about this 2 of Pentacles, please. Okay, what do we got here? Below the surface of that physical choice, we have Temperance. Sagittarius Major Arcana energy. This is a card of patience. It's a card that usually points out something is very dramatically out of whack here and it needs recalibrated. It needs readjusted. Every once in a while, this card can reference like reconciliation, like getting back together. In tarot, water represents love and emotions, and here the love has been separated into 2 different cups and she's recombining it back together. So it can reference that, and it could be that maybe your person is undecided and flip-flopping back and forth about whether they want to do that. It can also reference combining together 2 things to make something new, which we do see a 3rd energy here, 3rd cup of love. We see into physical opportunity. Now, if they are already in a physical thing with you and a new physical opportunity shows up, they got a new pentacle here, that would be where the juggling act comes from, which I guess is another meaning to this card. It can represent going back and forth and juggling 2 different people, trying to be patient about that. Maybe they've combined themselves together with someone else. But again, this card shows up for me when something's way out of whack, and clearly it is because we've got the Devil here. And this is pointing out the need to readjust something, to recalibrate something. But this Hanged Man in the shared energy is also, like I said, affecting your person. And from their perspective, it looks like they don't see anything that they need to adjust about themselves. It's you that needs to make an adjustment. It's this other person. It's this other situation. They're not accepting their role in this recalibration end of things here. And I've got the Wheel of Fortune right behind that. Again, 4 fixed signs: Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, Scorpio. Repeating cycle of something like this happening again. There's going to need to be a choice made here. And they are clearly not capable of making the correct choice, which is probably why we're getting the repeat cycle of the Seven of Swords. And as you saw when I showed you what their cards are, that Seven of Swords is out here in both decks, and it's in their energy over here. There needs to be a choice, and if they're not going to make it, that only leaves one of you, and that's you. When we clarify this Two of Coins, Two of Pentacles, I get the World, Ace of Wands, Two of Cups, Eight of Wands. The World, just like the Wheel of Fortune, it represents the four fixed signs, Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio. This is the final card in the major arcana. This represents the ending of one cycle and the beginning of the next cycle. That means something has come to an end, and at the same time, something new is beginning here. That's kind of what happens when somebody sneaks off and does stuff they're not supposed to be, and things aren't actually moving, and they're not willing to make the choice to recalibrate things. Now, the scary part to this card is kind of like, think about when you're at the amusement park and you ride the roller coaster or whatever your favorite ride is, and there's nobody else in line. And now that the ride is over, sometimes they let you just go for another lap because there's nobody waiting. Sometimes this can represent the cycle between the two of you has come to an end, but we're going to go for another lap anyway, even though I've got this other option here, even though I've got this other person with the Three of Cups and this new opportunity. It could be either of those things. So again, that seems like something you need to pay attention to and be aware of, so you don't get pulled back in for another lap with this, because you clearly deserve better than that. Next clarifier is the Ace of Wands. This represents a new beginning in passion and desire, a passionate new beginning. This is the spark of some new passionate thing. This wand also represents the phallic symbol of the deck. It's the male you-know-what using it to do you-know-what, sexual energy. That makes perfect sense with juggling two people. It makes perfect sense with Three Cups of Love and a new physical opportunity. It's kind of hard to use the wand on some chick if you don't have a physical opportunity to do so. And the easiest way to get that physical opportunity is to sneak around and do shit they're not supposed to be doing. Next clarifier is the Two of Cups, Cancer energy. This is an emotional connection between two people. It's I breathe you in, you breathe me in, we're connected. But it is a two, and twos represent choice. And this is a choice about the emotional connection. It can even represent a choice between you and the other person, which is what it's looking like. They've started a passionate new beginning, and they have two physical options to pick between. And they might be flip-flopping back and forth about it and can't quite make up their mind. Directly across the aisle, back into your energy, is the Lover's card. And this Two of Cups is the minor arcana version of the Lovers. So even that is a little bit telling here. It's powerful. This connection that you feel is powerful on your side of the table. But on their side, it's the toned down version. It's not as strong as the way you feel it. It's not as important to them as it is to you. Final clarifier for the Two of Pentacles is the Eight of Wands, Sagittarius energy. This is the second fastest energy in the deck. This is very fast forward movement. It can represent rapid back and forth passionate communications happening, but it can also just represent fast forward movement, fast progress on something there's a lot of passion or desire attached to it. Sometimes this represents somebody just, everything is happening all at once. It can be too much is happening all at one time. It could be very overwhelming energy. Could just be that they're doing a lot of passionate communicating with this other person and maybe moving forward way faster than they should be. Central to their energy is death. This is the Scorpio major arcana card. This represents an ending to something. This is something dying and the end of it. Now, this also represents transformation. So if you think about like a caterpillar and it goes into a cocoon, and a caterpillar is just like an ugly little worm with hair all over it, but when it comes out of that cocoon, it's a beautiful butterfly. So it comes out better than it was when it went in, But that process inside the cocoon is not a party. It's not fun and games. It's very painful. It's literally dissolving and transforming into something entirely different. So this represents the ending here, but there's some sort of a painful transition period, a painful transformation that follows that ending. Tell me about death, please. Why is the death card central to person's energy? Make sure that nothing flipped in here. Okay. I see. Boy, this one has just given me all kinds of stuff to tell you that you probably don't want to hear, but again, I gotta tell you anyway, because that's the only way I can help you. Below the surface of death is the King of Pentacles again. We saw that on your side, stuck in the loop, looking at them for the potential instead of the actual behavior they're showing you. This idea of being husband, being the person who's building a life with you, building a life around you, that seems to be what's coming to an end. Yeah, the history of that, Six of Cups is behind it, Scorpio energy, the past, the reminiscing, the way it used to be with this person, the history that you have with them, that's what's coming to an end. When I clarify death, I get the Hermit, the Emperor, and the Ten of Cups. The Hermit is the Virgo Major Arcana card. This is about doing soul searching. It's about doing deep inner reflection, deep contemplation. He's looking down inside the shadows of himself, trying to figure out what's going on inside of me. Like I said at the beginning, the devil only has the power over you that you willingly give to it by refusing to face it and deal with it. That's what the Hermit is about. It's about going into the shadows and looking at that stuff in there. It's about having the courage to go look for it and face it and actually deal with it. Now, I don't think for a second that that's what your person's doing, because from my point of view, what it looks like is they're blaming everything except themselves. They're probably not really willing to go do the Hermit energy, even though that's what they should be doing. Now, it's probably also important to point out that the Hermit is not one of those things that we voluntarily just choose to do. Something happens and it forces us to go do soul searching. It's not something that we just wake up and go, oh, it's a nice day outside today, I think I'll do some soul searching. And we don't do that. Like, something big happens. We got death here. We got this painful transformation happening. We're sitting right beside death and this world card, the ending of a cycle, beginning of a new cycle. So I don't think your person is actually doing this. Hopefully they are, but they're not doing it by choice, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And much more likely, this is supposed to be what you do. You need to go search your soul about the ending and about the painful transformation that you need to take, the transformation process, the difficult transition period. There's something for you to find inside yourself about this, which, you know, if you go through a repeating cycle with somebody that treats you like dog shit and sneaks around on you and lies to you and cheats on you, and for some reason, like, and that cycle keeps repeating and they don't want to accept responsibility for it, and there's this idea of seeing the truth but then potentially trying to block the truth and not wanting to face it and deal with it, and there's the devil right with that energy. There's some unhealthy attachment. And I think this Hermit card is probably trying to point you back to yourself. Instead of putting all your happiness on the external person, instead of trying to use tarot as this magic window you can peek through to see what's going on with them or what's going to happen in the future, that's fantasy anyway. It doesn't work that way. No one can see your future because your future hasn't been written. It's not some, pre-written script in the sky somewhere. That's not what tarot has ever been for. And this is telling you to go take a look at those parts of yourself and ask the difficult questions and shift your locus of control back to you. And instead of making the questions all about, when is this person going to act right? When is this person going to come back? When is this person going to, work as equals with me and put in the same amount of effort and energy that I'm putting in? Those are all the wrong questions. The right questions are, what patterns are you running? What repeating cycle are you running that causes you to be attached to a person who doesn't give back to you the way you need it? What patterns are keeping you in that situation? What is going on that makes it so that you don't already feel like you deserve better than that and are willing to tolerate it? That's the real thing that you need to look at. Not the ending of this connection, but the transformation that you need to make in yourself after the ending of this connection, so that you don't repeat that. So that same burden doesn't continue to weigh you down and hold you back as you move forward into the future with this Six of Wands that's on your side. Next card to clarify the devil, or excuse me, death, is the Emperor. This is the Aries Major Arcana card. This is an energy of control. It's about taking control, taking charge of a situation, putting together the plan to get what they want, executing the plan. This is the person who's running the show, calling the shots, making the rules, setting the boundaries. They're dictating policy. Now, notice the way his throne is. The back of his throne is so damn big you can't see what's going on behind him. And that's on purpose, because he's the emperor. He's in charge. It's none of your business what I got going on behind my back. That's for me to know, not you. That's tied directly to the Ace of Wands, the passionate new beginning. Again, keep in mind, we've got this Seven of Swords out here in the shared energy, lying, deception, sneaking around, cheating. We got Three Cups of Love as the overall energy, and new opportunity in the background that I don't want you to see. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but the next card is the Seven of Swords again. So there's definitely some element of them keeping control here and not wanting you to see what they have going on in the background. Now, there's two energies of control in tarot. We've got the Emperor, which is supposed to be about being in control. And in the same row on the other side of the table for you, we got the Devil card. That's the other control energy. And this is about something else having control. And it looks to me in this case, the person in this relationship that's in control and calling the shots is them, not you. And you are kind of at their mercy. Not because you actually are at their mercy, but because you're not taking your head out of the loop and walking away from this toxic situation that you have with them. Final clarifier for the Death card is the Ten of Cups. This is Pisces energy. This is that happily ever after card. Happy fairy tale romance, happy fairy tale ending. This is almost everyone's goal in terms of love and relationships. That is something that they are in control of, not you. It's also something that's coming to a painful ending here with this Death card. And I gotta say this too, because very rarely does the Ten of Cups actually mean true love and happily ever after and, happy ending. It doesn't mean that. And I hate to say it, but I got to. If you actually had the Ten of Cups with this person and it was happily ever after and awesome, and you're pouring all your love into them and they're pouring all their love into you with the same effort and intensity that you're doing it, you wouldn't be here watching a tarot reading about your relationship. People don't look for tarot readings when everything is peaches and cream. They look for tarot readings when the situation is kind of the way it seems to be in what I've said so far. So the idea that you have the Ten of Cups with them isn't accurate whatsoever. If you had the Ten of Cups, they would be loving you back. They would be living up to the potential that you see in them, and they're not. So this idea, this is usually what's the word I'm looking for? Like an idealized point of view that a person has. In other words, I'm looking at this relationship for how I want it to be and how I wish it was and the potential that I see in it, instead of looking at it for how it actually is. And how it actually is this person is running the show. This person calls the shots. This person is in control of whether this actually was the 10 of Cups or not, because they're in control of whether they pour their love into you with the same level of effort that you do it with them. And they don't. They have a passionate new beginning. They have another connection and they have a choice to make. And instead of making that choice, like I've got a card here in that first column that can't connect anything to yet. This communications back and forth, all passionate, rapid forward movement, rapid progress on something passion, desire related. That's not something a person does when they actually are pouring their love into you with the same level of effort you're pouring it into them. So this is telling me that you're going to have to do some soul searching about what does true love actually mean to you? What does that actually look like? And you get that mental picture of what true love means and what it looks like to you. And you juxtapose that with the picture of what this relationship has been. And you tell me, are those things the same or not? Do they match? Or is this like the memory game when we were little kids and you flip over the two cards that don't match and now you have to put them down and choose again? That's what this is saying. Final card for your person came out as 2. 7 of Swords, 9 of Pentacles. 7 of Swords, Aquarius energy, lying, cheating, stealing, deception, sneaking around, trying to get away with something. 9 of Pentacles. We've referenced the 10 of Pentacles with this 3 of Pentacles a couple times, laying the foundations for the 10. The 10 of Pentacles is built by the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles, who are working together as equals to build the 10 of Pentacles. I've seen the King of Pentacles in your energy. I still have it staring at me on the bottom of the deck. Notice we haven't seen heads or tails of the Queen of Pentacles. You don't seem to be present in their energy. They're present in your energy, and they are present in their own energy, but you're not. And this 9 of Pentacles, it's Virgo energy, but it's a singles energy. It's a step back from the 10 of Pentacles, that combined together life, building a life together. This is being physically single, physically by myself, physically self-sufficient. I don't need another person to take care of me physically or financially. I can do that all on my own. This is single, independent, physically single energy. Most of the time, like clearly this person was not physically single. I'm doing a relationship reading and there's 3 cups in it. You have all this love and emotions for them, but there's 3 cups again and you're trying to hold on. And they have other options and new beginnings and sneaky deceptive stuff. So clearly the person was not actually physically single. And I get this card a lot when someone isn't single, but they present themselves in the physical world as if they're single, which is why they're sneaking around. Let's clarify that. What's going on with the 7 of Swords, 9 of Pentacles? Okay. Okay, yeah. Below the surface of that, Justice, Libra Major Arcana card. Like I said, this card shows up when something unfair and unjust is happening. If they're presenting themselves as single while they're in a relationship with you, that in and of itself is unfair and unjust. That's like taking the wedding ring off when I'm at the bar so the chicks there don't think I'm married when I am. That's wrong in and of itself. That's out of balance, out of whack, unfair, unjust. But then when you combine that with cheating and sneaking around and lying, that also is unfair. And this is pointing out to you the facts of that and the need to correct that. There's that Temperance energy right behind it. Something is dramatically out of whack with this situation. They're combining themselves together and creating new things, blending themselves with another vessel, another cup, another person, creating something new. But like I said, this also can represent the idea of recombining, like taking the love that's been separated and putting it back together. And that in and of itself is an out of whack idea, an unfair, unjust, unbalanced idea. This is telling you in every possible way it could that that's not what this is supposed to be. And this is not supposed to be, even when it's representing a recalibration, this is not supposed to be the recalibration of the connection between the two of you. This is not supposed to be you trying to recalibrate this person to make them okay and right and live up to the potential that you see in them. That's not what this is. This is supposed to be a recalibration of your internal world, a recalibration of your emotions and the amount of value that you place on yourself versus the amount of value that you place on this person. Because if you look at those two things on a scale right now, based on what I'm seeing, it looks like their value weighs a hell of a lot more than yours in your own internal world. And that's out of whack. That's not fair to you. That's not balanced. You should weigh an equal amount to them at minimum. And it doesn't look like that's how it is from their side or your side. When I clarify Seven of Swords, Nine of Pentacles, I get the Ace of Swords, the Eight of Pentacles, the Two of Wands, and the Knight of Swords. The Ace of Swords is the sword of truth. It's the sword of clarity. It's the sword you make decisions with. Like the word decision, the Latin word that decision comes from, literally means to cut off. When you have other options, these two physical things, and I can't have them both, the way you make a decision is you cut one of those away until there's only one left. And ta-da, your decision's made. And it looks like that's what they're doing here, because they've got a choice to make about your connection, and they've also started a new one. And if they're sneaking around and lying and cheating and, no, I'm not doing that, it's not my fault, looks to me like they've already made their decision. And again, like over in your energy, you've got the blindfold on. There's pieces that you don't see. Well, now you have the truth. Now you can face the truth, and it doesn't matter if they duck and dodge and bob and weave and deflect and say, no, I'm not doing that. You have the truth now. The only thing left is to make the decision to face that truth, to use your discernment, to cut away the thing that isn't in your best interest anymore here. This is the clarity that you need to make that difficult decision. It's the clarity that you need to be able to go inside yourself and know what to look for now, what questions to ask when you search your soul after the end of this connection and the transformation that you're making after it. Because this, with the World card, this has already come to an end, and it's time to start the new beginning. Not the new beginning with them as in go for another lap, to make this transformation, to go inside yourself, to find out what causes you to become attached to someone who's emotionally unavailable, to someone who lies to you, who doesn't give you the same amount of effort that you give them. What causes that? What causes you to be attracted to that to begin with? What causes you to stay with that, to even go through a scenario like this? That needs to come to an end so that you can start a new beginning without that kind of burden weighing you down and holding you back. That's your real choice here. What are you going to do moving forward from here? The next clarifier is the Eight of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy of work. Putting in the work, putting in the time, effort, and energy on something to get what I want, or at the least, at the minimum, being willing to put that work in. Well, I think what this is saying is that the truth about what they've been putting the work in on. Notice we went from the idea of 10 Pentacles getting, combined together life to, in their energy, we've got lying and sneaking around and cheating and presenting myself as single. We've taken a step backwards from that idea of combined together life. And now here we are taking one more step backwards to going from the 9 to the 8. So there's some clarity for you there about what they're actually working on. There's some truth for you there about what they're actually working on. And it's sitting right beside the Emperor. They don't want you to know what they're working on. They're in control. They don't need to answer to you from their point of view. And the reason they don't want you to know what they're working on is because what they're working on is their wand, their passion, their desire, this new thing that they've sparked up with somebody else in like a passionate, probably sexual way. It leads us to the next clarifier, Two of Wands, Aries energy, fork in the road, crossroads, decision point. This is a decision for them about what do I want my life to be like? What do I actually want? And which path gets me there? Which path am I leaving behind? Well, what they actually want, they've already made their choice. They're sneaking around. They're acting single when they're not. They're working on shit behind your back. There's illumination of the sneaking around. This idea of combining lives together, working together as equals, building the foundations for that 10 of Pentacles, that's stuck. That's not what they want. I think they've made a choice here. In that same row with that Two of Wands, the choice about what they want, we've got the Two of Cups on the other side. Two different people. They have a choice between two different people. Potentially one that I have all these emotions for, and one that I have all this passion and desire and a sexual energy for. And in the center of that is the Ten of Cups. Is this really the Ten of Cups? Doesn't look like it to me. Final clarifier for your person, Knight of Swords. This is the fastest moving knight in the deck. This is rushing forward and taking this decisive action on something very quickly. The problem with this energy is this usually isn't the dude who reads the instruction manual first. This is the dude who just hauls off and does something and they haven't thought about it first. They just do it and they don't bother to think about it until after it's already done. They've already taken the action. They've already made the choice about what they want in that desire sense of things. It's crazy because I read this to you in columns and then I connect it in rows as I go down. And this final, like for you, I got 3 cards each time for each one of your columns. So perfect rows here. On your person side, I got 4, 3, and 4. So this bottom row, I've got 2 super fast moving energies. The only energy faster than these 2 is the Chariot, which we haven't seen. But we got really fast forward movement. This is the second fastest. This is the third fastest in the deck. All this fast movement, this decision, I decided, I went and did it, but I didn't think about it until after it's already too late. I rushed forward with all this passionate communication, all this passionate energy, made progress or movement or advancement on something passion, desire related. In the center of that is a gap, a hole in the information. That's probably part of what you didn't see. Maybe you had the feelings that something fishy was going on. Maybe you already knew because it happened in the past and this is tripping off your alarm bells because something is making it seem like this is a repeat. And maybe you didn't know. Maybe they're just lying to you about it. And this unhealthy attachment that you have to them might have let that continue longer than it should have. But there's a hole in the information, and what's attached to that hole is this idea of the Ten of Cups, this idealized point of view, this looking at it for how I want it to be, how I wish it was, and the potential I see in it instead of how it actually is. So now I've given you everything that I've seen here from these cards. I've laid it out for you in the actual meanings of the cards. I've told you the truth about it. I've not sugar-coated the dog turd and tried to bend this into something that's going to prop your fantasy up for you. I've given you the real information. Now the only question is, what are you going to do with it?